So I think I wanted to keep my options open in terms of what armor we can switch into, but who's to say what the right call is there. Regardless, this early on, I don't think that it will be too much of a make or break, at least I hope. I think I'll eventually break that first weapon. Oh, definitely. I very much even plan to take that step in the relatively near future, even if we find a decent artifact or something like that. How strong was your halberd, friend? A +1 anti-magic halberd. So not horrible, but a halberd gnoll is the scariest of said gnolls. Let's see, astral sight lets us see through walls and stuff. Oh, that's very cool. And stealth is always good with Ash, since you'll be able to see enemies through walls and get stabs in the future. Cool, so that interacts nicely together. And in fact, I guess we might as well pop in here. Commands and cunning is stealth. Oh, necromancy and summoning, dodging and stealth. Ooh, cool. So it's actually a bit of a wider spread than I initially expected. That's awesome. It's when you're holding an artifact weapon that the choice gets tough, I can only imagine. Also, yeah, I think we start this fight at the very least with the idea that we might just retreat out of it. Maybe heal up ourselves. I was hoping that you'd still be a little bit hurt, friend. Well, in that case, I'm actually going to switch which stairs we go down. See if we can't initiate that fight from a slightly further position and actually take advantage of like our poison needles, for example. Oh my gosh, this is why we don't tab too quickly, as suddenly an ogre appears out of the woodwork here. But perfect. Nice amount of poison on that son of a gun. Let's just hop around a corner from the imp. No harm, no foul there. Let's also see any extra spells. Poisonous vapors. Might end up using that. That's nice and useful early on here. Don't quite have it at a castable place yet, so I won't waste the memorization points yet. May still find some early spell books here, but keep it in mind. Hello, friend. There we go. And so we continue on. I guess poisoning you, not super useful. And we almost get poisoned to death ourselves. Would have been a fitting end, but not today, friend. Not today. And let's keep it moving here. Fortunately, we are fighting off a lot of susceptible to poison enemies, which is a nice change of pace. I'm used to usually running into a bunch of things that completely counter whatever choices or decisions we'd made in the recent future, or recent past, I should say. But not today, it would seem. And slowly but surely, we're ranking up all those them skills. Ooh, Ashen's Area invites us to partake a vision, Curse of Companions, and Fortitude. So Fortitude would be fighting for sure. Maybe armor as well. And we could get another bonus to Companions, which isn't great for us. But we could just curse our armor for now. Not the end of the world, right? In fact, before we do that, let's maybe do a quick check. Do I want to switch up? We were just starting to maybe be getting to a point where we could actually cast spells. But without too many spells that I'm exceptionally excited for, I think I will switch over to the extra AC for now. We can maybe eke out that advantage a little bit later. And let's curse the son of gun, shall we? Let's see, which stair are you? You are one of the relatively safer ones, so we're okay with that. Also, I like that our armor becomes enchanted colored. Oh, our mace did too, I guess. Supernal knowledge, and this is the chainmail of lashed rationality. That's really cute. And I guess we could also confirm Fortitude is armor and shields. Okay, so not fighting. A lot of fighting because it gives us bonuses to our max health, but makes sense to get both defensive skills upped up a little bit here. Oh gosh, things took a pretty nasty turn there pretty quick. Again, one of the potential issues that can arise from just tabbing your way through things too quickly here. You can definitely start this fight. That trident wielding buddy and the ogre will, of course, be a wee bit of an issue to say at the very least. So we could go through some slightly unexplored ground, but more likely to be safe will be this pathway through areas we've been before. Making sure I don't make any horrible turns into a dead end. That would be nice. Looking okay so far. And not too bad. Let's just pop you out of here, friend. Also, jeez Louise, we got some good hits in, to say the very least. You can hit the exclamation on the ability screen to get a description of the curse and actually show what skills the curse will help. Might do that in the future, especially if we're really debating or cursing, you know, a very solid object. For the time being, though, I will say I'm not hating the little mini game I have going in regard to having to guess some of the stuff here. I don't like a hasted halberd Gnoll, but hey, all worked out in the long run there with the amount of poison we were able to lay on. Can just take advantage of that fact. Again, I shouldn't be tabbing too quickly. There's that Okawaru altar that I was looking for earlier. But we don't want to tab too quickly, that is, just because if that ogre pops around a corner, may be in trouble. And no wand of digging that I can see so far. Also, guess we don't need any identify scrolls, hey? How about that? Perfect. And I didn't mention it explicitly, but we did find ourselves with a condenser vein early on, which I do love to see. It worries me. I'm concerned for what our future has in hold. Again, any amount of luck we get now karmically gets repaid with the opposite in kind. But never tell knife the odds. We'll make it through in one piece, I'm sure. And a bit of an annoying fight here, but we should be able to make it through Phantom. Indeed we do. Just to eke out a victory there. And I just had to check my phone for a moment there. Noticed it was buzzing a little bit on the counter. And hello friends, this is quite the party. So why not use this early condenser vein? Get a nice bit of AoE damage, make everyone have to run through that to get to us. Love to see it. Not too shabby here. Hello, Kobold friends. Probably won't end up using too many of these poison darts in the late game here, so I think I can afford to be pretty prodigious with just launching them out left and right here. And there we go. You love to see it. A nice amount of experience for sure. Pop into off the bat and... ooh, a vision of alchemy and elements. So that's a bit more on the spellcaster side of things. Also, Toxic's Hydra Hut, fittingly, just filled with flaming weapons, of course, and a ranged weapon of cold, which is actually a cool little subversion of what I'd normally expect to find here. But interesting. There is a +4 broadaxe of flaming. That might be an item we're looking to invest in the future here. We unfortunately are not able to use any of the Ashen's curse that was just offered because we don't have any more equipped items. I guess we could if we would like break our mace here. I'd probably want to buy something from that shop, and unfortunately we're just short of being able to afford the broadaxe that we were looking at. In fact, how short were we? Okay, it's so close. So I'll maybe wait till we see that. And might have to take up Ashen's here. And in fact, I guess I made the comment about enjoying the guessing game that we have. But at the end of the day, we can do both, right? So alchemy and elemental. Elemental, ice and fire, I think. Alchemy, transmutation, and poison, maybe? Let's find out, shall we? So we can describe curse. And, oh, I was very wrong. Elements are all of them, air, magic, and earth. Oh, never mind, not very long. Alchemy, there we go. Poison and transmutations. Heck yeah. Theme shops are fun. I very much agree. Yeah, I find it super interesting and cool each and every time that I find one, especially since there are quite a few that I've never had the pleasure of running across myself. But specifically, my favorite themed shops, I think, that I've found in most of my runs so far are the Shoals ones that can show up. Because I've had a couple that are at least seem to be unique to Shoals. Maybe it's just an RNG thing and that's just where I've happened to come across it. But definitely puts a bit of a smirk on my face whenever we get to see one of those bad boys. Also, ooh, we did get enough money for this axe. I think I do want this curse. It actually seems pretty solid. Question is, do I want it on this weapon? Probably. This will actually get us through a decent chunk of the game, I think. And again, no jewelry so far. Anything to switch off. So, time to shatter some chains. Some change, but also shatter some chains, of course. And we smash that son of a gun. Yes, game, we will indeed do so. Oh wait, also withdraws the vision of curse. Whoops, I should have read that a little more closely because I was rushing that largely because I actually really wanted that combination that we had there. So that's a big whoopsie from me, but that's okay. I can survive this gap close, I think. Perfect. A little closer than I otherwise might have liked, but we did it. And that's an interesting thing to note for the future, is we definitely want to be switching out curses right after taking one, I guess. So it does limit our ability to immediately switch between things in a lot of ways. Even if we have a curse primed, we are not able to do so right after breaking some chains, which is interesting. But we know that for the future at the very least, and very happy that we did so now when we were still kind of just interested in a curse versus somewhere where potentially later on we may have been hinging our entire game plan on something like that. Also, I don't like this. Stop smiting me, please, and thank you. Orc Warrior is a little bit tough here. There we go, there's that smite we were just talking about. Stab. Might have to use a Scroll of Fear to get out of this one. No blinking yet. Can you kill me in one hit? Not quite. But if we get smitten or smote one more time, that could definitely change. I at least want the Orc Priest in sight. Oh, and you know what? They are at edge of sight range, so they shouldn't be able to take a step forward and smite me unless they random energy, which is never going to happen. Of course, the Orc Warrior gets the random energy towards me at the perfect time, but hey, it does give us a gap on the back end of that, so all is well that ends well. Instead, head back upstairs. Run into a tricky situation of a different flavor. But able to separate the shaman from the rest of their buddies at the very least. And then just take a couple gnolls upstairs. Perfect. Slightly better at the very least. Spinart's favorite is the goze egg with piles of gold in an overpriced shop. The flavor is amazing. Nice. I think I have run across that one once or twice as well. I think my favorite general one that isn't too specifically themed, but still kind of makes the cut in my mind, are the used goods stores, where they have all like badly enchanted things that imply that they're damaged from use. I always find that super cute, and those ones are kind of nice at being kind of cutesy themed as well as actually a solid find early on. In fact, I think one of our games that did relatively well was able to find a like -2 quick blade in one of those early shops. And I agree, Eggly, that chuckling at the specific stores with just one item. Can't say it's ever really worked out for me and it's ever been an item that I'm actually in desperate need of, but it is a very cute little theme for sure, or a bit of flavor. Let's see here. What do we do with you, friend? Could soften them up with some poison darts. Usually goes pretty well. We should be able to fight one Orc Warrior. The protection mace might be slightly painful. But, you know, with poison and our +4 broad axe is what I was going to say, we should have no problem. And indeed, it did seem to be the case. So we're able to work our way through that, buddy. And I'm wondering, is this the same band from before? Crap. Orc priests suck. Don't want to die in one turn, but we're out of sight of the Orc priest. Stop. Stop with the darts, sir, please. Not yet lethally poisoned, but it's getting close. Oh, now they won't be able to throw something again without random energy, which I'm waiting for the game to screw me on that one. But okay, we make it to the stairs. I guess you're still quivering your poison darts. You are indeed. So to be safe, we should probably take a curing potion, get upstairs. That almost lethally poisoned us anyway. Big oops on my part, but hey, made it out in one piece. Let's open up our spellbook even and see. With our heavy armor, not much chance of casting anything, but it does give us an opportunity to take a peek at whether it's worth it to switch off. Ooh, the new Polar Vortex, the tornado replacement. Could be fun. Nice save, thanks Railbird. Definitely wish it hadn't gone quite so close at the end of the day. Indeed, Iggly, yeah, close call. But yeah, nothing I think that immediately makes me want to jump over to a lighter set of armor. We do have these leather armors, and I guess decrease my AC by 5. Having it, I guess, not as good. I was going to potentially argue that this leather armor might be worth switching into, but don't know how I actively feel about that. So that's the other stairway that's right next to the one we just came up. Did they just switch all the elements around? Like Absolute Zero moved to lightning, tornado moved to ice, right? Definitely, it seems like it, at least a little bit. Ooh, and Ashlenzar invites us to partake again here. Alchemy and Introspection. So Alchemy was Transmutation and Poison. Playing the guessing game here. Introspection. Invocations. And maybe just Invo Evo? Let's find out. Whoops. As my mute key accidentally toggles all that stuff away. Fighting and spellcasting. Okay, so actually that does make sense. Because invocation and evocation, I guess, could be paired as well, but that would be maybe a bit more themed towards empowerment of some kind, because we're empowering our items or we're being empowered by a deity. And introspection, fighting, and spellcasting are kind of our personal abilities on a fundamental level, so that does make sense. But that might be a nice one to get. The question is, I want it on this axe. Well, being not too bad, it's not quite as up my alley as the last one was. I loved alchemy and elements. Getting a bunch of spellcasting skills all going would have been nice. But fighting and spellcasting alone might be fairly advantageous, especially since we already have such a ridiculous start to our fighting. So let's do it. Let's curse that broadaxe. And by doing so, it also, I guess, kind of informs the fact that it might be a good time right now to switch out our armor. So let's take one more quick look at our spellcasting. Switching over to something lighter, we could gain the ability to call imps for sure. On a Genie of Ash, introspection is your favorite to see. Definitely makes sense. Yeah, spellcasting giving you the ability to cast all spells in the game, and fighting for your one source of both staying alive, obviously, health, but also spellcasting. And see that being a bit of a jump for joy situation, to say the least. And kind of going back a little bit to what Spindart mentioned, I am kind of curious. I haven't explored the new level 9 spell switches too much myself. I'm guessing the thematic switch there was mostly just to change over some like balancing issues between the two schools. So I've heard a decent amount about like the new static discharge and how it works functionally on its own, but I am curious how it shakes out in terms of balancing both those schools against each other. Because I do find that I wasn't really going air elementalist much in my own playthroughs. Funnily enough, back in the day when I first started, or in one of my first few returns to the game even, I was quite a big fan of air elementalists. Back then I was a bit more into like paying a lot of attention to the small positional advantages you can gain, so I loved using Zap and trying to just get as many wall bounces as possible. I used to have memorized all the different like ideal configurations for facing an enemy so that they get hit 3 times by a single air spell. So someday we'll have to go back to our roots, but it had been a while, or has been a while, since I really noticed a strong interest, I guess, in playing that style of character. Okay, we did find one more curing. Seeing the bees made me immediately want to check if we had at least one, and think about even buying a second here. Big yawn. But, on the other hand, it might be nice to... Oh wait, no, we don't have to buy a potion of degeneration. I'm thinking in my non-Ashinzari ways here, because we have auto-identification. There's no need to spend even the 13 gold for just an ID that we have anyway, inherently. But let's at the very least mark off those healing potions and try our best to fight off this swarm here as the entire hive descends upon us. Don't love to see it. Oof. Big oofs. As you struggle to sleep, you came back on a stream and see a brand new game. Great background music, really relaxing. What's this game about? Hey, nice to see you gameplay react. I am sorry to hear about sleep troubles, of course. That's not so great on that end of things. But yeah, this is one of my usual mainstays in Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. So I don't know how many roguelikes you might have played in the past on your end, but that's the most basic way to sum it up. But in case you haven't, it's essentially a randomly generated dungeon game in which we have to make our way through in one piece, make it to the bottom, retrieve the Orb of Zot, and return to the surface. The main features of these kinds of games are that they are usually difficult, or at the very least, death comes easily, to say the very least, as Spindart immediately chimes in with it's a death simulator game. Definitely not wrong there. Because, yeah, we will continually bash our head against the wall and try our very best to make use of each and every tool at our disposal and make it through the brutal dungeon in one piece here. But more specifically, this version, or this iteration of the dungeon crawl genre, is really great for its mechanics and how a lot of the things interact with each other. And I've been a huge fan of playing DCSS for over a decade now, not constantly or consistently necessarily, but I've always found myself coming back to it. And so it has been one of the mainstays of my streaming experiences. But I'm going to use a Scroll of Fear. I don't like that Mistdrake. Is that what you're called? Steam Dragon. That's what your name is. Very scary. So let's retreat out for now. Heal up. And then maybe reinvest in that fight in a slightly better position.